I know you sort of met Teddy briefly back in the day, but what was it like
Right.
coming to Virginia Beach, seeing the guy in the studio and with his team of producers and
It was everything. That was a dream. Well, it wasn't really a dream. Yeah, it was a dream come true. I won't front because I thought Teddy was so crazy. Like he was incredible. And I would. This is another thing. Even with I'm going back to the flex now.
yeah.
So we would have meetings like we would record songs and then Lil would come in to listen to what we did.
Mm.
And he crushed me one day. Like, we thought what we had was tough. Like we had dope records, right? And Lil comes in to meet and listen to what we doing. And he was like, he said, all right, let me let y'all hear something. And Teddy was working on Bobby's album at that time.
That's one of my top 3 albums, the Bobby album.
And this man, Lil Silas Jr., goes and plays this Bobby Brown album. And after that, I was like, I don't want to do the flex no more. I was like, that's it. I was like, that's it. And then not long after, a couple years later.
Yeah, a couple of years. So when he was playing the Bobby album, was he trying to say, "Nah, this is what I want you guys to do"? Or what?
Yeah, pretty much. He was like, "Yeah, that's cute. What y'all doing is cute. This is what I need. I need something like this." And Marley wasn't. Marley in hip hop.
Yeah, was
hip hop. Marley was like
untouchable.
With Teddy.
Yeah.
When it came to what we were trying to do, Marley didn't have that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's basically left up to us. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't competing with that.
What was your favorite track on the Bobby album?
All right.
Yeah, One More Night. Yeah, that is my favorite track on that. It's 6.5 minutes. It just goes up, and it's a song, and it breaks it. Yeah, just give me one more now.
Breaks it down. Even with the hook, he'll take 2 of the notes out and have one. Teddy don't think like that no more. He ain't on that level to me.
Yeah.
He just ain't doing that innovative stuff anymore.
Yeah. What did you make of Dangerous? He did about 7 tracks on Dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like so I'll tell you what I feel about Dangerous. Some of Teddy's best production from a standpoint of you can tell he was being challenged by Michael with the sonics and different things, right?
Yeah.
Arguably, Remember Tom is still probably one of my favorite, songs. I mean, him and Bernard Bell just went in on that, right?
Yeah.
I felt that they should have let Teddy just mix the whole album.
Yeah.
Because the mixes, and this is how you know the difference, the mixes of Dangerous and the mixes of Bobby Brown's, which were all done in a similar time frame, right? If you put Bobby Brown's album on right next to Michael's, you'll hear the knock is way harder. Right? So it's like, and I know what that means. That means that Michael had like his teams of mixers that he was used to working on it. But when Teddy did Bobby Brown, it's like Teddy and his squad. It's just Teddy and John Marie, whoever it was in his squad. And you hear the difference when you hear That's the Way Love, that's the way
that's the love way it goes.
Yeah.
You can play that thing.
Yeah, Two Can Play a Game and One More Night and Something in Common and all. You just hear the roundness, you hear the heaviness, you hear that's Teddy.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted for Dangerous. So when I hear certain songs on Dangerous, I hear all the sounds cutting through and I hear all of that. But I'm also like, man, can you imagine if Teddy would have just been allowed to mix it himself?
Yeah,
I bet you there's demos.
Yeah.
I bet you there's demos that knock harder than the actual mixes that came out on Dangerous. I guarantee it.
Teddy was working with a lot of people back then. My memory's good, but not that good.
So let's talk about the Bobby album, because it's, as I said, it's if I had three Teddy albums, I would have said Bobby album, the Keith Sweat album, then the first Blackstreet, because
that took a lot of our time.
The sound on the 6, 7 songs that you guys worked on, my favorite of all them is One More Night. I mean,
I was just listening to that the other day.
It is my favorite. I mean, it is 6 minutes long because it can't 6.5 minutes. So it can't make it on the radio, but it's yeah. Can you talk about that?
That song, when Teddy wrote that, I still remember it. We started it late that night, and he didn't get done till about 2 or 3 days later because he was fine tuning it. Then Bernard Bell came in and wrote the song with Mary Brown came down, Mary Marsha came down. Everybody was down there. Big Bub was down there.
Wow.
Everybody was down there for that. Everybody was down there for that.
For the album.
For all the writers. I mean, Teddy 1991 to 1994, that Virginia Beach was a music factory.
Yeah.
And we had so many people down there working with us. Teddy would rent out these places, these apartments, so everybody could be working at the same time. And they would come in and drop some stuff, and that's it. There was so many people. There was a lot of influences down there. A lot of influences.
Yeah, the one thing that we noticed is that he had a consistent team with Tammy Lucas, Mary Brown, Marco McCulloch, and who would sing background, who would co-write Bernard Bell. You mentioned it. It seemed as if he had a crew that he kind of worked with.
Bernard was always there.
Okay.
Bernard was always there. At that time, Bernard was always there, and then Bernard went to do some other stuff later down that road.
Yeah. So with yourself, so especially the Bobby album, what was that like then? Because as I said, the sound of that album it almost sounded like the instruments it was recorded like live instruments compared to didn't seem as manufactured. So there's something about that album that was really, and he actually got nominated for Producer of the Year for that album for his tracks on those albums. So that's how highly they was.
I think at that point in time, Teddy was enlightened because we just came off the Michael record, and he was up there. He was up there. He was so focused, you couldn't talk shit to him. When Teddy goes like this, when I call it the blinders, it was just me and him, eye to eye. That was it. Nobody else could talk to him. Nobody. He was so focused. It was ridiculous. The sounds that we used to get, and mind you, a lot of the Michael sounds we both made, like we made sounds. And at that point in time, Teddy found this thing called the vocalist. I said, Teddy, what happens if we put it like stereo, right? Mm-hmm. And then Teddy would say, well, what happens if we get 3 of them? Left, right, and center. And that's what you hear on Bobby's record. We were the first people to start using the vocalist.
Wow. It sounded, as I said, that's why it sounds, I mean, it's still my favorite album, and I actually only listen to the 7 tracks because it sounds really, it has a very distinct sound on that. One My Night, as I said, is my favorite track on that. So were you there when they were doing the recording as well as so?
I was recording it.
Okay.
I was recording and mixing. I was everything down there. I was my own assistant. I was the engineer. I was the project coordinator for the thing. We were working. There was nobody's like titles. We just got the job done.
Wow.
That's how I was working 24/7. I'll be in there recording. My eyes would be closed, and I'll be cutting, dropping stuff in and out. Teddy would be always in there recording with me.
So then because Rum Shaker's biggest song in the country that year, then he's out promoting it. Then you're on your own. You had other people joining in.
I would be down there. He would tell me what to fix. Jean, I need you to bring this up. Fix this. Jean, I need you to do this. Jean, I need you to do that. No problem. My pager was always, at that time, everybody had pages. My pager was always going. Always going. Never a dull moment. And Teddy would be in, and Teddy would be out. Now, mind you, at that time, Blackstreet was starting to come together.
Okay. The first project I sang on background was Bobby Brown.
Okay. Yeah, but it's so. Yeah, I mean, and I think because that's such a iconic album and with production, by the time you auditioned for the group, had they already started doing any work on the album, or did you just start? Were you there before it even
man. I was there. We didn't even have the name Blackstreet.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Bobby album. So were you there?
Oh, Bobby album.
Yeah.
I was there from the I didn't hear the Babyface stuff.
Yeah, no, that's Teddy stuff.
No, Teddy was doing that stuff from scratch, man. It was crazy, man. When he did that, Two Can Play This Game. And then we had Joe Stone Street. I forgot to mention Joe.
Yeah.
I met Joe when I got in the group.
Okay.
It was he's a different kind of guy. Man. I love that guy. There's a whole lot of stories with that guy.
Well, we're gonna go. Yeah.
So I think the first song was Two Can Play That Game, and so he was working on a track, and then he had us come in and gave us the parts, man. And it was incredible, man. I was like, wow, I went straight from cover band to Bobby Brown. You know what I mean?
But what was it like though? Because you got Teddy at his prime. He had just come off the Michael stuff, and he had his crew all up there in his new studio. But what was it like for you watching, the guy from Guy and Michael Jackson in the studio back in those early days?
Man, let me tell you something, man. I still had my gig in Jersey, so he would be working. So he didn't need us at the time. So I would shoot back to Jersey, drive back to Jersey, do the gig, get a little sleep, get back in the car, drive back down there, just in time for him to start back out another song or whatever. So like I never left, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, watching him do vocals and production-wise, he was a beast, man. You can't take nothing away from him, in terms of production and coming up with that sound and stuff like that. But there's a lot of other people that I think should get credit too, like Bernard Bell. Yeah. Bernard Bell, very prolific musician, writer. And it's a lot of different people like Tyrone Fight. Yeah, he was very instrumental and really that drum shaker thing, turning that whole song around, man, because the original beat was a little different.
Yeah, but before we get to Rumshaker, I guess it was the Bobby album. So you like to play this game? So did anyone before Bobby got there who had to sing the lead part, or was it mainly the chorus? Or
yeah, it was. Chauncey did some of the I guess you said the demo tracks.
Yeah,
and Street did some of the demo tracks, and a lot of times Bobby wouldn't show up to the studio, man. This guy, man, he was a mess, man. But we come in and knock it down, man. He was a mess, man. But yeah, we would do a lot of the demo stuff.
Yeah. What was it like when you finally did meet Bobby? I mean, what did he come in? What was it like?
Let me see. Where should I start? Bobby was Bobby Brown, he was Bobby Brown. He was a fun guy to be with, man. It's just that it's like this, right? Remember back in the day, I don't know if your parents ever told you, my father always told me this, if you go to a club and people start drinking a lot of white liquor, get out of there early.
Yeah, okay.
So was hanging out with Bobby, and let's put it like this, a lot of white liquor going on, and I got out of there.
Oh, goodness.
He was a cool guy, man. Watching him work, man, he was intense, and that was fun, and being a part of that project was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun doing a lot of stuff, man,
Because I spoke in the studio. And I spoke with Eric, and he said back in the day he was part of the Flex, and Lowell Styles Jr. played a demo of the Bobby album, and they realized, man, it was just off the chain, just with the production and stuff, and so that was a really it didn't do as well, mainly because Bobby wasn't able to promote it as he probably could have, but the album, I mean, Teddy got nominated for Producer of the Year Grammy off of that album alone.
Yeah.
But you know, you guys are just singing the backgrounds, and I think the backgrounds were just as good as the front, because as I said, you had the amazing harmonies. As I said, you had the girls from Eminem, yourself, and who else was doing the backgrounds and stuff?
I think Big Bub did some work on something.
Yeah, okay, I see his name down there.
Yeah. So it was pretty much me, Chauncey, Joe Stone Street. I think Bub did some stuff, you know, and I want to say Aaron might have did something. I'm not sure, because we weren't in the same sessions a lot of time. You know?
Okay.
I used to come out late at night.
Okay.
Meanwhile, you know, it's a I don't know if you know that it's a trick when you come late at night, you get more money. So you know.
Okay.
Come late at night, make that truck bigger, you know.
Okay.
But you know.
When Teddy moves to Virginia, do you leave? Are you still in Harlem, or you go to Virginia to
Yes,
help
we
work?
moved down there.
Oh, you relocated to Virginia?
I relocated, yeah.
Okay. And at that point, the Bobby album comes out.
I didn't make the Bobby album. I was supposed to sing on something, but it didn't work out. I had like my throat was really sore or something around that time. I do remember, because Teddy Brown, I met Bobby Brown, another very nice, he was very nice to me anyway, very nice man. And I was supposed to sing, and I went down there and did vocals, but they didn't come out right. I remember they came out real scratchy, and it was weird. You know, I didn't even like him myself, so I understand why he didn't keep him out. And I think, long story short, my voice wasn't, it was scratchy. I think I had a sore throat or something.
Okay. But then, so you didn't get much work on the Bobby album, but then they start working
I didn't get any work on it.
On any work. And on the, so there was Mary Marshall who did a lot of the backing vocals on that. But then when they
called her after I couldn't make it.
Oh.
Because he called me first.
Okay.
And that very song that she sang on, which I love that song.
Is it one more time?
One night it will be all right for sure. It's so pretty. And that was the same thing that I was singing, but it was weird. It was weird. And it just happens. And it was one of those things where, you know, a lot of times you might go to record. It might not be a good night for you for whatever reason. Maybe you have some personal stuff that's going on. It's still on your mind. You know what I mean? Whatever. You come down with a little something. But there was one of those situations he couldn't wait to do it another day and another day and another day. So that's why he had to call somebody, because I've been in the studio with him, you know, when I was living down there, just other times, you know what I'm saying? And if we had more time to do it, you know, we say, come back tomorrow. Okay. Go home and get some rest. Sometimes your voice is tired. Yeah. And you know, and I've seen some of the best people. Last time I said, oh, I'm not as good as this person. Some of the top people. If you're tired, you're tired. If your voice is tired, it's tired. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. And it's not going to perform for you the same way that it would when you're rested, when it's rested, and that whole deal. And it was just one of those things. Yeah. Yeah, no, the One More Night, that's the best song on the album. Yeah, such a pretty melody. That melody was very, very pretty.
Yeah.
Come on! Get up! Get up! Come on! my time to go camping. They told me I need one more song. One more song.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.